Hello, 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 everyone. I'm Dr. Norma McLaughlin, owner and CEO of Chosen Pen Publishing, LLC. I help women who write transform their purpose into profit. My niche is anthologies, but I serve in the inspirational space. We help write any type of inspirational book, or journal, or anthology, or short stories, anything that you wish. So check us out. Also, Chosen Pen has chosen of course, the month of March is Women's History Month. So we here at Chosen Pen are paying tribute to some of our inspirational authors who add value to the literary community. Today, to join me in honoring authoress Shekela Ingram. So welcome, authoress Ingram. We are happy to have you join us today. So tell us about who you are.
Thank you so much for having me, Doctor. I am just honored that I get to share this space with you and the amazing Women's Month. And thank you for all that you do for women authors. Um, so I am Shekela Ingram. I recently just became an author. I'm still getting used to that title. And I will be very honest. I am also an elected leader. And I think I'm more excited about being an author than I am about the title of being an elected leader. So that is a bit exciting. I am from Fayetteville, North Carolina, as I stated just a few seconds ago. I am an elected leader. I serve on the Fayetteville City Council, representing District 2, and I have a pleasure of representing the district that I grew up and was raised in.
Okay, that's amazing. We are honored to have you on our program as an author and as a leader, especially as a woman representing both of those opportunities. We don't have that very often. So we applaud you for
Thank
that.
you.
So we're going to move on. And so you're saying you just become an author, an authoress. So we want to make sure we're saying that this month so the men will know that we are ladies and lady authors. But let's talk a little bit about how it all began. When did you know that you wanted to be an author or to be a writer?
Ooh, well, that's a good one. I have always been pretty okay with journaling and expressing myself in a literary format. I think when there are two different times. One, when I met Alice Walker,
Mm-hmm.
and during this time, I think it was 2017 or 18. She was doing a discussion, but she was talking about putting out her journals. And she recently just released them. But this during this time, she was talking about they were combining them and working on it. And I said, that's interesting. And then a second time was when I read a comic book, but it was by John Lewis, and
Mm.
it was called March, and which is very known. And that sparked me because I had known since meeting Alice Walker that I wanted to. I just didn't know what format. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'm gonna put it in a comic book form. I'm gonna tell, whatever story I want to tell in a comic book form. Well, when I started to do that, it didn't really resonate with me, and I left it alone. But approaching adversity
Mm.
and being a leader and having to um, navigate in certain ways and recognizing that I'm always a person of I will share my own experiences to help someone not have to go through the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And um, when I began to write my book, I was in a very hard, a very tough space, and it was a space where I was struggling within myself to show up for myself.
Mm,
And so that birthed my book, Intentionally Here. Here's what happens when you show up for yourself.
okay. And that is a very positive statement. And I think a lot of us need to know and learn how to show up for ourselves, just on as women, in the just in the natural, that we do have a problem for showing up for ourselves. And then as women of color, then again, we are often accustomed to hiding or
Yes.
not showing up or not being seen. So I'm sure that your book will be helpful in helping us to overcome that syndrome, that of hiding and the imposter sin, all those things that we do as women, that we learn to overcome or need to learn
Abs-
to overcome.
Absolutely, absolutely. In the book in itself is really about owning in on intentionality, and being able to see what happens when you show up for yourself, and also what happens when you don't show up for yourself, and also being able to recognize that show when I show up for me, I'm not just showing up for me, I'm showing up for somebody else who has not probably figured it out yet, or is too scared to show up for themselves.
And that is one, I mean, that's amazing, because I think sometimes we forget that as role models, we do have other people watching us and learning from us, and that we do need to put that best foot forward. Even though we don't feel good about doing it at that time, we feel great after it's over. But while it's going on, it's not always the best feeling for us. So I think that you're having said that we have to do it. We have to be intentional about doing it. Go on and do it and get it done so others can see it. But not only that, but that we are in the space that we need to be in at whatever that time is, and doing it well. So let's move on then. And so that was your first book. Do you have anything on the burner now for a second book?
Actually, I do. Actually, I do. I don't want to give the name away just yet.
Okay.
Um, how can I describe it? Let's see here. Hmm.
Give it to me. Give me a one sentence line that you're going to be able to put out there when you put the cover out on the first day for a cover reveal, or you're going to start in the next tomorrow saying, it's coming, watch out, look out, what's coming, it's coming soon. And with that one line, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait with bated breath to read that book.
So I think what I could question is now it's a bit different. It's a bit of a more of a interactive book, and it'll a question that I'm gonna leave you with is, when did you know?
When did I know? Okay. That is a wide open question and leads us to many answers.
Yeah, when did you know? Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. And it's interactive. That's very good.
Yes.
That's one of the things we've been teaching our writers, that, especially in the inspirational arena, that people are not reading 200-page books anymore. And they're also liking to be interactive in some of the things that they're doing and participating in. Uh,
Yeah, and I will add with intentionally here, hopefully in the fall, or I pray sooner, I will be releasing a young readers adapted version
oh, good.
for young readers in high school, middle
Okay.
school, because what I recognize is our future is everything. Our and for them to be empowered as well is much important for than it is for my generation, because we're here, we're in this, right? But to also give them something to work towards, and being able to show up for themselves. And one of the things that as we're working on the adapted version, that I do lean on, and I talk about it in actually intentionally here, which is being accountable, like honoring yourself with accountability.
Mhm. Well, that's good because I think, and especially for our young ladies, and I haven't had any on yet. I'm planning to have some in conversation. So some, of course, they want to be writers, and they're not quite sure where or how to start. Uh,
Hmm.
but I think it's very important that we reach them in whatever method that we can. And as writers, I think authors, that's one way to do that. And whatever we write, that we
Hmm.
keep them in mind. And also, I mean, it's a wide open market for young adult right now. So there is someone out there waiting to read what you're writing.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, so tell me, I mean, you have a lot going on in your life. So what and when do you schedule time to write?
When I have downtime, and I just had this conversation in a panel discussion during the Black Lit Book Tour. Um, because I'm so busy and
Mhm.
I don't want to overwhelm myself and my mental health, I found it most easiest for me to write when I have downtime. So if I wake up early, I can just go to my desk and start writing. If I finish work and I've had dinner and I've had a shower and I'm just sitting here, I'll just start writing. And so and that is when I do my best writing, when I'm not pressured. Um, and then there are times where when I know I need to write, I'll schedule away time. I'll book a hotel room for a weekend, and I'll do a little staycation, because sometimes here at home you can get distracted.
Mhm.
And some years ago, for my marketing business for small business owners and entrepreneurs, I created a uh, workbook. And so what it is it it tells you how to go on a retreat at home or within your own city
Mhm.
when it's you and yourself. So I use it with them. I use it for myself as well. And I'll just put myself on a 3-day retreat, and I'll do get what I need to get done.
Okay. Oh, oh, I love that. I love the retreat. I love the self retreats that you can, and we often do. I try to get people to understand. You can stay home and retreat. You just have to plan another
Absolutely.
retreat so you can get it done. And the hotel retreat, alone time as well, where some people go for 2 or 3 days, and that's their cave, and you go there and you write or whatever it is that you need to do for that time. So
Yes.
that's amazing. I'm really excited to hear you say that. And
Thank
also
you.
about tell us more about the workbook. And when we talk about where you tell us about that and how we can find that as well. At the end, we tell where you can get your book.
Okay.
Okay, so and I think we talked about this a little bit. We're talking about writing quirks and things that hinder you from writing. Is there any one thing in particular that hinders you from writing or that you've overcome that you can share with other writers, aspiring writers?
Hinder me. Give me an example. What do you mean by hinder me from writing?
Well, usually my hindrance comes from I've sat down to write and the phone rings or the
Okay.
doorbell rings, or I may not even be in the right mindset to
Mm-hmm.
write. I have to end up writing something else as opposed to that because my mind is so jumbled with other thoughts that I'm unable to focus on
Mm-hmm.
what I need to write.
Right. So with me, when I write, I completely shut off the world. Everything's on do not disturb, or I just completely turn it off. And it also depends on what I'm writing about. Intentionally here, that book for me, goodness, it was a big self check. But it was also like a therapy session within itself. And so we know that in therapy sessions, it can get really rough sometimes, and you can really face yourself. And so for me, there were times where, and I wouldn't call it a hindrance. I would call it more of a pause, where I would be I would feel heavy and
Mhm.
emotional about it. And certain parts would make me cry.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have to kind of put it down for a few minutes or even a day or two, and then I would revisit it. And then there were honestly some times where I would have to go talk to my therapist about it, because as I was writing about things where I had to, writing about scenarios where I had to show up for myself, I was recognizing I had not really overcome whatever trauma that came out of me having to show up for ourselves. And a lot of times as Black women, as my girlfriends say, we're hit with the suck it up buttercup.
Yes.
And that comes within, having to show up for yourself. But for me, um you're not going to make me, I'm not going to give in to that suck it up buttercup. There will be some accountability on both sides when it comes to me showing up for myself, and you honoring the space that I'm going to take up.
That's it's wonderful, and something that I think we need to do some sound bites out from, because we don't have to suck it up, Buttercup.
Mm-mm.
I mean, during my day and my time, we
Yeah.
got to suck up buttercups just for survival. But
Right.
today, you don't have to do that. The expectation is not for you to do that.
Right.
Although sometimes we're in situations where we feel that, oh, well, I'm not sure. Should I say that? Or I don't know if they're expecting me to do this or what I'm supposed to do. But no, we're still talking about it's you. Stay in
Yeah.
you're in your space. You've invited into the space. Say what you need to say. People respect you for saying whatever it is that you. And I think if we get to the bottom line, understand this is you. God has given you whatever gifts that He's given you to speak about or talk about, and do that and have the confidence to do so.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's very good. As I said, I need a couple of sound bites. I have to put that out there somewhere. I'll give you credit. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, as we're winding down, I think
Hmm.
our time is pretty much up here. But tell me, and I think what you're doing is phenomenal. But can you express how what you've done, your body of work, and how it has added to the literary world of work, the literary works that we see every day?
Ooh. So with me, I have a pet peeve about reading books and I still need answers. I and I'm not saying that those books don't occur, but many times I have purchased a book where I still have to read between the lines, and I still have to kind of figure out certain things. And I think it's more so because I'm a very direct communicator.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to read between the lines. I want to know if it's white or black, green or gold. I want to know.
Okay.
And I think for me, I'm very direct in my book. Um, um, I put it out there, and I'm not a. I think that's something that I add to um the literary world. Um, and I think I'm surely not the first young Black female author. And I don't want to be the first, and I know I'm not going to be the last, but I can say that I'm glad to be a part of that number. Um I'm glad that God has blessed me with the mind, the heart, and courage to share my life experiences and a family that supports.
Very good. Very good. And one of my writing coaches who writes, I guess, tale books
Hmm.
or self, and I mean, she's very direct. Like she says, when you write your book to be an answer to someone else's problem. It's not about you. It's not about whomever, but you're writing like one of my books I wrote, the How to Write Your Own Signature Coaching Book, 7 Steps to Gaining Expert Power in Your Industry. So within that book, you're expecting that when you finish it to know how to write this book.
Absolutely.
So you're getting answers to a problem. So what you're saying is exactly true, especially with how-to books, because you pick up some how-to books, but they're not, they're promising, but they haven't They don't deliver on the promise.
Mm-hmm.
And so what you're saying is that your books or your book adds value to our industry because it actually delivers on the promise.
Mm-hmm.
An outstanding, because we have, as you say, there are so many books out there today who people write about what they think people want, but it's not exactly expert information. So I applaud you for that as well.
Thank you.
Thank you for adding that to the literary industry. And as we close, and before you tell us where we can get your book, tell us, do you have an author that you celebrate this month?
Yes, gosh, several. But I'll go with my two favorites, my two go tos, Toni Morrison and three, Toni Morrison, Maya Angelou, and Alice Walker.
Okay. And we do understand why.
Yes.
Yes, they are the leaders in our field.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, thank you. Okay, so now tell us where we can get your books, and especially, I think we mentioned at least two.
Yeah, intentionallyhere.com. Uh very, very simple, straight to the point, intentionallyhere.com.
Okay. All right. So you heard it here, readers, young readers, and we'll have something coming soon for you as well. So we're very excited about that. And it was wonderful sharing with you today. And I don't know if I'm sure Nissa's already told you about our conference coming up April 1st and 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you who are on our listening audience, please be aware and go to Eventbrite and register. For those of you who are still a little leery about coming live, there is a virtual registration as well, where you will be able to get all the same information, just not in person. So we're trying to cover all bases. But this writer is for everyone. Everyone will be able to get something, from readers to potential writers, writers who have already written for years. But there's something there for everyone. So we look forward to seeing you soon. And for those in the listening audience, we see you next time.